Yeah, old school. That's what I'm talking about. Listen, this ain't for everybody. Some of y'all need to hear this. I know you're in the trenches fighting, but check it out. I'm gonna put it down like this so I can help the saints understand. Everything you're going through is all part of the master plan. Or what? You thought cause you got saved everything was gonna be peaches and cream? You better wake up, son. Don't nothing come to a sleeper but a dream. Faith without works is dead. Read your Bible, you know what it said. He who don't work don't eat. Slackers don't get fed. Yeah, Jesus said he who puts his hands to the plow looks back the same ain't fit. Some of y'all ain't been in the trenches 5 minutes and you about ready to quit. I ain't mad at you, I'm just hitting you with the real. If you died for me and I was still tripping, now how you think that make you feel? Check this out, deep game, this here's deep. Some of y'all ain't sawing nothing but you started trying to reach. But unto him who is able to possess your fathers by his glory. Struggles might be part of your testimony, but it ain't the end of the story. Now the point is this was prophesied way back in the day. Choir, sing your hook right here and see if the church can relate.
I know we can make it. I know good and well. I can work it out. Work it out. Work it out. Yeah, he'll work it out. I know we can make it. We can make it. I know good and well. I can work it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yeah.
Thinking not strange, the fiery trials wanted to try you. You say, why you? But your church say, what would Jesus do? Why you asking if he ain't trying to do what he's saying? He told you he was going to have tribulations, but you thought he was playing. 1 minute you tell him how good God is and can't nobody beat the talk. The next minute you're backsliding so fast, look like you're moonwalking. Oh yeah, I'm preaching to myself because I ain't no better. It ain't like I've been following his every word, obeying it to the letter. So we soldiers, we got to remember that. Regroup, stay on point. Yeah, bow down, confess, repent, stay humble, let him anoint. It ain't easy as I thought it was. I'd be lying if I told you that. But it's showing up getting better all the time. Trust me, that's the fact. Ain't nothing we going through that can't be handled. God put that on his tongue. Like they say, you can shout now if you want to, cause the battle's already won. So while you're going through the valley, don't even trip. You're gonna be on top. Choir, sing the hook line one more again. This time you don't stop.
I know we can make it. We can make it. I know good and well. I can work it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. He'll work it out. We can make it. I know we can make it. I know good and well. Oh, I can work it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. If you let him, I know good and well. He can work it out. 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 Oh, he'll work it out. Oh, I know we can make it. We can make it. I can work it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. He's gonna work it out for me. If you let him, I know good and well. He can work it out.
Blessed are the poor.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can.
Blessed are those who mourn.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can.
Blessed are the meek.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can.
Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness.
I know we can make it. I know good and well. I can work it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. I know we can make it. I know good and well. I can work it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. If you let him, I know good and well. He can work it out.
I am Indy. With your host, Lamont Patterson. I'm independent, but a minute. I'm feeling fine all the time. On my pride, I am indeed. Alicia Rain at the wave.
Yeah, everybody, don't be surprised. It's your boy coming back again to you today, Hump Day, Wednesday. You know what day it is. It's your host, Lamont Patterson, and you're listening to I Am Indy. You know what I like to say? If you made it this far, with Big Boy's help upstairs, you know we can make it the rest of the way. At least that's my belief anyway, and I hope it is yours also. Today, like always, you know, we got a great show lined up for you. I'm going to put on my boots and do what I do, you know. Today we're going to do my little country thing because, you know, basically I'm a country boy. And every which way, anyway, you know. But for the ones that don't know, I just let you in on a little personal secret. But anyway, we got our guest today, Mr. James Lee Baker. Let me see if he's in the building. Mr. Baker,
Hey,
are
I'm
you
here.
with us? Hey. Thank you so much for joining us, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Yourself?
Oh man, I can't complain. And like the people like to say on this end of the world, I'm too blessed to be stressed.
Huh, nice.
And I hope the same for you, man. Well, congratulations. Let me say that first and foremost, of all the great success you've been having, man. I had an opportunity to put my ear on your music, man, and I love everything I've heard so far.
Oh, that's great to hear. Thank you. I'm trying to work hard.
Well, that's the only way we're going to get there, as we say. Well, give me one little brief second, Mr. Baker. Today, everybody, we got Mr. James Lee Baker joining us, who's a classically trained musician. Mr. Baker fuses influences from acoustic guitar and songwriters like David Mead, Ellis Paul, John Gorka, Gregory Allen, and one of my favorite artists, Mr. Bob Dylan.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, that's my guy. And if you got so many other accolades here, what do you like to be referred to, James Lee, or you like to be called your whole everything?
James Lee's fine.
All right. Okay. Well, James Lee, man, you have so many accolades here, and I don't want to take up another hour telling everybody about all the great things you do, and have done. I'm going to leave a lot of it for you to tell our listeners about, but I know one thing, we got a list of questions here for you, but I know one thing I like to do. I like you, James Lee, to tell our listeners about James Lee. My first thing is, I know you didn't just all of a sudden one day decide to be a great songwriter like yesterday. What I want to know from you is what got you inspired in this business? How did you start? Where did you start playing at? I mean, did your family play? Tell our listeners some of that kind of stuff. How did you get going?
Yeah, so I started music early when I was a child. My father was a musician, and so was my mother, at least part-time. And I grew up listening to them play the record player and listening to classic rock and gospel. And I was involved in music and church-related functions and went to music camps in the summertime. So music was an integral part of my life growing up. And when I was in high school, I started doing vocal competitions and singing in choir. And I picked up the acoustic guitar when I was 16, trying to fit in with everyone. But I think around 17, I started writing my own songs and discovering the creative process that comes with it, and started hitting open mics and things like that. And I had my first, real solo performance gig, professional gig, and when I was 20 years old. And I think I've just been working steadily ever since then to try and get better at what I'm doing. Over the last few years, I've been focusing on honing the craft and getting better at it, taking vocal lessons and songwriting coaching, and going to songwriting retreats and festivals and workshops, and taking classical guitar lessons. So really trying to work hard at creating a genuinely good product. And I'm starting to see dividends from that slowly. It's a competitive industry, but at this point, yeah, that's kind of the arc of my music career so far.
Well, I mean, one thing that jumped out at me was the church. First of all, it seemed like we all kind of started and kind of went there with the music. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do it early on in school, and that's one of my big things now. And I try to talk a lot about that on the shows, too, in turn. Hopefully some of our elected officials will start trying to put arts back in the school, from an elementary age, because nowadays, there's a lot of artists that are really computer literate, but they don't really know how to play or read music, or have those harmony classes, those vocal classes that we were able to get at an early age in school.
Yeah, I I completely agree with you. I think that music theory and understanding the art form as a craftsman is something that is becoming a lost art for younger people. And it's like it's like a carpenter going into his shop and not using 75% of his tools, to get his job done. He's not going to have an excellent product. He might get lucky and people might enjoy what he's got, and that does happen for a lot of artists. But I can't tell you how many people I meet in the industry, and I start talking to them about a chord chart, or changing from the 1 to the 5, and you can just see their eyes glaze over because they don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I completely get it. I'm like, how are you and it doesn't mean that they have to suck. I mean, for example, Phil Keaggy is a great guitar player, and a Christian rock, a Christian musician, and he's phenomenal at what he does, but he can't read music. He doesn't know music theory. He just knows the soul of the instrument so well that he just does it by ear, and has learned that over time. So.
Have you ran up on a situation where somebody, because I have you run up on a situation where somebody say, well, if you play it for me, then I could play it? Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that makes a lot of sense to me, because I'm the same way. I'm very much an ear-driven musician, and so I sit and listen and I try to figure something out. And I think that's great, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But it's sort of like learning to speak a language without actually taking any language classes. You will be able to get by. You will be able to speak the language, but you're not going to be able to have the edge over other people in terms of communication skills and the way you handle yourself as a professional. So if you take that same metaphor and apply it to music, I think there's a lot of people out there who know music and they know it intuitively and they're good at what they do, but they don't have the competitive edge. That's why there's so many independent musicians, because everyone's trying to vie for exposure, but there's only a few people out there who are really busting butt, getting out there and working hard and learning the craft and learning the business, and making a name for themselves through their learning and their hard work. Well, that's so important nowadays because the business is so competitive. I mean, there's once upon a time where we didn't have the internet. We didn't have the home studios in order for you to go record a project, and I'm sure you know this too. In order for you to go record a project, you'd have to go to somebody else's studio where they even, invested $500,000. And nowadays, you can have a home studio for less than $10,000.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good thing and a bad thing, I think. I mean, it's basic economics, right? The more supply you have, and the less demand you have, the harder it's going to be to find opportunity as an entrepreneur, right? In any industry. Right. The reality is that our product is cheap. Our product is free for the most part. Like people might as well see it as free because they're paying $10 a month to have it. And so we're not making any money on selling our product anymore, and there's way too many people trying to do it. And so the end result is there's just all this white noise. There's all these people trying to get the same opportunities, and so it can be very daunting. But I do think the one thing that separates the wheat from the chaff is the learning. The learning the craft, and
Well, unfortunately, that's where all the money is right now anyway, is into the live performance, for the artists. The shows, the concerts, the live events.
Yeah. Yeah, and as a folk artist, I'd love to just be a songwriter and like write songs for artists, but the problem is every folk artist out there writes their own songs. So I'm in the wrong genre to be able to get my songs pitched to artists. Ultimately, I have to be an independent artist, which means the only choice I have is to go out and perform. And that means I got to be okay with that lifestyle, you know?
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your current album. Was it Home Again?
Yeah. Yeah, so I started writing the album in 2015, 2016. Many of the songs on that album were just, created in Texas. I was spending a lot of time there, and I lived there for, my whole life up until I was 24, and so I had come back. I had just moved back to Texas, and so that's why the album's name is Home Again. But yeah, I'd worked with a few musicians on a website called Fiverr, and they basically provided all of the instrumentation, the session work, and then my producer here in Denver kind of did the magic of mixing everything down. So I'm pretty pleased with the way it came out, and we've had some good success with it this year. So there's a lot of there's some good songs in there. I think some good stories too.
Well, I know I put my ear on the one that jumped out at me, and I don't have a certain order to play your music we have queued up here. Maybe I should, but I don't. But how about let's go on one that I kind of liked first, and then you could talk to us a little bit about that. And that particular song is Disappear for the Weekend.
Yeah. That song is done pretty well. I think in total between SoundCloud and Spotify, we've had over 250,000 streams in the last 3 months. So it's doing pretty good. It's a song that I wrote when I was living in California. It's about getting away from the work week and from the grind and just
maybe
going
that's
where
why it jumped out at me. Maybe that's why, because I felt it was a California thing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because Highway 1, and I was in the Bay Area, so getting on the 101 and going down, to Santa Cruz or to Monterey or going up to Napa, the Sausalito. There's so many places you can go in California for a weekend, especially in the LA area too. So yeah, I love California. I like to say that my body is in Colorado, but my heart is in California.
Well, we're gonna have to get you to come back through here in California to do something in the near future. So we're going to play this song for our listeners and everybody. Like I like to say, let the windows down, turn your air conditioner up, and put your ears on this. This is Disappear for the Weekend by Mr. James Lee Baker.
Setting of the sun over the ocean. The radio's playing a song. Your fingers are right where they belong, tucked in between mine. We can lay under the stars on the top of my car and sip on red wine. Yeah, baby, loving you is quite the journey in and of itself, but I want to see the world in all its sights with you and no one else. Let's disappear for the weekend and jump at first into the deep end, and we can kiss the whole routine goodbye, at least for a little while.
Okay, your girl Miss Dramaganza, check. Lip gloss, check. Mascara, check. I am Indie with the homie K Diddy, check. You listening to Blog Talk Radio, baby, and I love you for it. Mwah.
Yeah, I love you for it too. Well, we back with Mr. James Lee Baker. Man, I love the guitar work, man, and the vocals.
Thank you.
You got quiet on me there for a minute, yeah, and I like the energy. So where'd you guys record that at?
It was primarily recorded in Denver, Colorado. The session work, the electric guitar, and a few other things was done by Toby Wilson. He lives in the UK. He's a remote session musician that I met through Fiverr.com, and we've been working together pretty frequently, which is he's great at what he does, for sure.
Man, tell me about technology. Man, back in the day, you couldn't do that.
Yeah, tech is really it's a great double-edged sword, man. I think it's from a beneficial perspective, like it's really great because it connects the world, and we get to collaborate with people. Half the session musicians that I've worked with, I've never met in person. So it's definitely changing the way the game is played. But there's a lot of advantages to it because I've gained I've garnered a lot of exposure recently, and I haven't really left the comfort of my home. So there's a lot of opportunity. It's a new landscape for exposure as well. So. And it's a much wider net. So I think that's the benefit of technology in terms of, networking across locations and things like that. At the same time, go ahead.
No, when did you tune into tech? I mean, did you start at when the early invent of the internet, or did you just get involved in it in the last 2-3 years?
Well, I've been in tech for a long time. I'm principally I'm a software engineer, and still do that to pay the bills. That's my main gig, and that helps facilitate the music. And I know people, they think, well, if musicians have full-time jobs, then they're not professionals. But I meet a lot of people this day and age who are really successful in what they're doing in the music, but they still have day jobs. So I think that's the way of the future, especially given the way the market's changing. But yeah, I'm in tech as well, so I'm very savvy with computers and with the internet. And I work for a social media company, so social media is a part of my life. Yeah, so it's a good fit. I mean, they work hand in hand, kind of symbiotic.
No, I mean, that's a blessing, and that's a powerful point, and I'm glad to hear you bring that out because, I deal with a lot of artists that they're very, very established artists, man, but, they kind of been in the game for a minute, and they kind of miss that whole computer wave, you know what I mean? So, I mean, on one hand, the career doesn't really depend on it, but for a new artist that's just starting out that's not computer savvy, not computer lit, does not really engage with none of the social networking, they don't really understand how the business works nowadays. You could be a great, fantastic artist, have a fantastic band, but if your social networking is not up to par, a lot of times, you don't get the exposure that you would deserve and that you're looking for. Now, a lot of times, the industry look at your numbers, they look at their views before they even listen to your music. And in a way, that's kind of sad, but that's how the new A&R is working now.
Yeah.
So that's not an issue for you, my friend. So that's good because you're on top of that.
Yeah, I think you're right with people needing more exposure to tech. It provides you with a lot of benefits that you don't get without it, right? Unfortunately, yes. I mean, I'd love to deactivate my social networking accounts and go spend some time in the garden or something like that. Sometimes social media is a necessary evil for me, because I've never been one to want to promote myself. It's hard to put yourself out there and say, look at me, like what I do, without feeling there's a certain amount of it that's not healthy for you. So I think, kids are deeply ingrained in the, the high level stuff of what tech has to offer, but being able to get down underneath the surface and like really make good use of technology through delegation and things like that is really helpful. And I think it's something that, I think it may be a good market. It could be a good market for educating people.
Definitely. So, James Lee, your album that you're working on now, do you have any videos that's going along with that?
Yeah, so I have a couple lyric videos, but we're going to be doing a full production music video for a song on there called "If I Stay Here With You," and that song's going to be released as a single in the fall, and so that's when the music video will be released. We start film production for that video this weekend, so that's going to be the cherry on top. It'll be the last single. And we're going to go all in with the video and put something out that's really professional.
Well, so for everything I've heard, it sounds really professional. We got The First Time queued up here for you. You want to tell our listeners a little bit about that song?
Cool. Yeah, that's a good song, too. Do you want to hear? Did you say you wanted me to talk about it?
Yeah, well, tell our listeners, what's up with it? What's it about?
Well,
It
was the idea was that I was having a conversation with my former self. Imagine me as a 16-year-old sitting in the driver's seat of a stick shift, about to drive a car for the first time. And sitting next to me is me that's 20 years older. So that's kind of like the idea I had was, if I could have a conversation with my younger self, what would I value? What would I say? And one of the things that came to mind was just, everything that I've experienced in life that has been very memorable, it's always unique the first time I experience it. And sometimes when I go back to experience it again, it's a different experience. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't. But the first time I've tried something is always an unforgettable and unique experience.
That's awesome and heavy at the same time. Well, everybody, Mr. James Lee Baker here with us, so you know what to do. Let your windows down and turn the air conditioner up and put your ear on this. This is the first time.
You put your brand new car in first gear, release the brake and restrain your fears. Let off the clutch and feel the wind in your hair. You turn the corner and you grip the wheel tighter, just like the rail of the roller coaster. You admit you've never done this before, and somehow you want more. You're young, you've got dreams to burn, you've got lessons to learn.
Yes. We're back with James Lee Baker, and that was the first time, man. I'm loving the instrumentation, man.
Thanks, man.
You hear a lot of stuff in there you don't hear in that, some of the arrangements that you used. Tell me something. What is a dobro?
The what?
A D-O-B-R-O.
Oh, dobro. Yeah, so a dobro is, it's complicated to explain, but there's a certain type of guitar called a resonator guitar. It's an acoustic instrument that has a metal configuration in the middle of the instrument. It looks like I don't know. It looks like a circle that has holes in it, and it's made of metal. And underneath that plate is a set of cones that are also made of metal. And what that does is it's essentially a natural acoustic amplifier for the instrument. So it amplifies the sound, making it louder. And the side effect of that is it has a more metallic sound to it. The resonator guitar comes in two flavors. One, a regular acoustic guitar with a resonator unit in it, and the strings are above the neck like a regular acoustic guitar. And that's what we would call a resonator. But there's another type of resonator called a dobro, and dobros are basically the same exact thing as a resonator, but the difference is the strings are lifted above the neck several inches using a large bridge nut and a bridge and neck nut. So the strings never touch the frets, even if you fret the instrument. I mean, you could technically fret it, but the bottom line is that dobros are typically played with a slide. So you hold the slide in your hand, you lay the dobro on your lap, and you slide it, and then you use your fingers to pick it, sort of like a steel guitar, a lap steel guitar. It's that classic country sound. It's not the twang that you get in the background where that's a steel guitar. The dobro is that sort of sounds like a country dirt road kind of sound, you know.
See how you just educated millions of up-and-coming guitar players that probably wanted to know what that was and didn't know how to ask or who to ask.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, because I sure didn't know, and I just learned something. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
So James Lee, you got it nominated for a bunch of awards, I understand. So tell our listeners about that.
Oh, yeah. So last year, John O'Hara, who runs the Songwriting Performance Grant, reached out to me because he heard my song "To Cageless Birds" on the radio in Pennsylvania, I believe, and wanted to award me a Songwriters Performance Grant for the song. And so I used that grant to pay for like getting booking secured and traveling and that sort of thing. There's been a number of other things that have kind of taken place. I recently got selected by the Wildflower Festival in Richardson, Texas. They have an annual songwriting competition, and I was a finalist for that. When I actually just performed there last week, and I posted a video of that performance yesterday. So that was a good opportunity for exposure. And aside from that, we've had a lot of success on a variety of music charts so far. So, and I was given an opportunity to be presented in Billboard magazine late last year as an emerging artist.
Oh, that's wonderful, man. That's fantastic too. Man, you was in Richardson, Texas, man. That's right down the street from where my hometown is.
Oh, yeah? Where's that?
Yeah, and this place called Bonham, Texas. I'm like 45 minutes, kind of like northeast of Richardson and that whole little area.
Right on.
Where the
Yeah,
food,
I grew up in Amarillo.
where the food is still good.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the food is a whole lot different down there than it is out here. That's for doggone sure. But listen, James Lee, we got two Caged Birds queued up, so we're gonna let our listeners put their ear on that one since we're just talking about that.
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Here it comes. Yes, sir. Here it comes, everybody. You know the drill. Let your windows down, turn the air conditioner up, and put your ear on this one. This is Mr. James Lee Baker with Two Caged Birds. I like that.
Thanks.
I love the way you breathe when I stare at you fast asleep. One hand dropping my teacup and one rested on the palms of your feet. I love the way you make believe I rescued you from far away and brought you here this fairy tale, then traded my horse for this place. Oh my dear, since you came into my life, I know what living is, 'cause you make me feel alive. I love the way you amplify the color in a good sunset. Your laughter is the medicine I could lose and still not forget. And I love the way you come to me when the moon is full and bright, and hold me in such a tenderness I'd surrender any meaningless plight. Oh my dear, since you came into my life, I know what living is, 'cause you make me feel alive. I love the way I found you, as careless as when you found me. Two cageless birds of springtime, so young and full of mystery. And I know the search was worth the wait, as hard as it might have been. All the battles of my youth, I'd fight for you all over again. Oh my dear, since you came into my life, I know what living is, 'cause you make me feel alive.
Yes, you listen to I Am Indy. This is your host, Lamont Patterson, and we're chopping it up with Mr. James Lee Baker. And if you just joined us, you're late. But anyway, you could always get the show in its entirety in a few minutes if you missed the first part. We're going to continue with our guest, Mr. James Lee Baker, and that was another fantastic song, sir. I understand why you was given a grant for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And again, I like the instrumentation, too. It's outstanding. You had some great musicians working with you.
I definitely agree. I think that Astasia Stepp, who did the background vocals, is just the best part of that song. She's wonderful at what she does.
Who's doing the fiddle work?
Oh yeah. I'll have to look that up. I don't have his name off the top of my head, and he's a session musician based out of Canada. And yeah, he was very helpful at composing all of that. I didn't even have to really compose it, so it was pretty cool. His name was Hammerson Peters.
Well, we gave him a shout out. We gave him some love for his outstanding work, regardless. So, good. We just want to recognize him. Boy, but yes, we're very impressed with your music, man. I definitely like your sound, your vocals, and I understand why you're being well received.
Well, thank you.
So, listen, we got something else, and I want to get this one in as well, Canadian River. So talk to us a little bit about that one.
Well, I grew up, as we mentioned, I grew up in a religious family and community, and as I got older and I became an adult, I realized that there's a lot of hypocrisy in religion, at least in religious communities. And not all religious communities, of course, and not all things about religion are bad. But I realized that I needed to try and find my own personal relationship with, whatever you would call God, and so this song is really more about that. It's about identifying that you are not part of a group and that you're an individual and that you came into this world by yourself, and for me it's just communing with nature, because I find at times, at least my personal opinion, I find there is more sacredness and holiness in nature than in a room full of people. And even in the stories of Jesus Christ, he went out into the wilderness for 30 days. So the wilderness is a place to go for communing and finding peace, and I think that's really a kind of a fundamental element towards my relationship with what we call God. So that's what this song is about.
Do you go out? Do you camp and do you fish? Do you do stuff like that?
Yeah, I do when I can. I like to backpack a lot. I like to hike and things like that.
That explains a lot. And it gives you definitely that peace and that air that you were just speaking of, And sometimes, man, that's what people are not doing in our society now, is taking time to go and smell the roses, as they say.
Yeah. Well said.
But anyway, here we go, everybody. Here's a Canadian River with Mr. James Lee Baker. Put your ear on this.
Sabbath day in this water tower town. The steeples light up as the sun goes down, and every business is closed in the name of the Lord. except for the Christian bookstores. It's only an hour's drive from my front door to my favorite spot near the river shore. Pack the back of my short bed second-hand truck. If I leave right now, get there before dusk. Oh, the Milky Way is my canopy, and the only one holding me is gravity. The river's my church, it's where I come to pray. I am sending thanks with my knees in the clay when I seek forgiveness from all of my mistakes. I let the Canadian River wash my shortcomings away. Don't get me wrong, I believe that inner voice, but I also believe in a world of choice. If you were God and made the birds and the sky, wouldn't you want to see them fly? I lay my head down and I close my eyes, and I am baptized in golden moonlight. The river's my church, it's where I come to pray. I am sending thanks with my knees in the clay when I seek forgiveness from all of my mistakes. I let the Canadian River wash my shortcomings away. Hear a coyote singing into the night. He's got his way of giving praises, and I've got mine. The river's my church, it's where I come to pray. I am sending thanks with my knees in the clay when I seek forgiveness from all of my mistakes. I let the Canadian River wash my shortcomings away.
Yes, this is your host, Lamont Patterson, and you listen to I Am Indy with our guest today, Mr. James Lee Baker. James Lee, question for you. Did you write these yourself, or you have anybody co-writing with you?
All of the songs on this album were written by myself.
Oh, man. Well, that's fantastic. I mean, I applaud you again, man. Your lyrics are definitely on point, and they definitely tell a story, and everything that I've heard so far, I'm hearing, movie, soundtrack type stuff. I don't know. I'm impressed, man. You got some new fans on this end.
Oh, thank you. You know, and I hear that a lot. It's like the universe is keeps tapping me on the forehead, and I need to get this stuff into licensing and get it into film and TV.
Well, you got definitely a good start here because my friends and I, we have our hands in a lot of TV and stuff here on the West Coast. So that's why I was listening to your music, man. I'm listening to the music, but I'm also seeing scenes in my head. Just telling the story. So it's crazy, but that's great, and I'm sure we'll be talking again.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
well, thank you.
So what else
thank
you got?
Thank
what
you.
else you got coming up? Huh? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying thank you and thanks for the opportunity. So I've got a lot of little things happening. I have an album that I'm working on. I've recorded 7 out of 10 songs. We may do more than 10, but that's the goal right now. I've written 9 out of 10, so looking to do one more, maybe 2 or 3. And we'll plan on releasing the album towards the first of the year. And so between now and then, I've got a lot of things going on. Most of it's behind the scenes. We've got a single that just got released. There was that song, The First Time. That's been released as of last week. And then, like I said, I'm doing a music video this weekend in Denver, and we'll be putting that out in a few months as the last single on the album. That'll kind of cap off the fall and winter of 2019 for this project, and then we'll move on to the next. And between now and then, I'm also doing a number of songwriting retreats. I'll be doing a retreat in July here in Colorado, and then I'll be doing another one in Connecticut on the Labor Day weekend. I've got a few conferences set up. So a lot of things going on that are not really fan-facing. I'm working on hiring a publicist and for like my upcoming project, or at least doing like a PR campaign or something, as well as radio campaigns and other stuff for the folk community specifically. So lots of stuff behind the scenes. But yeah, should expect a music video out. There's a current single out right now. Check it out. And then next year, we're putting out a new album. And the new album is going to be leaps and bounds, in my opinion, better than this current project. This project was a lot of fun, and we've had some success with it. But I think I really want to get to a point where, as Steve Martin said, be so good that they can't ignore you. So I went to Blue Rock Studios in Austin, Texas, which is an amazing studio that has some great artists that come through. And I've had some top-notch players as session musicians. So Roscoe Beck, who toured with Leonard Cohen, and he's worked with Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's doing bass. And then I've got Doug Pettibone, who toured with John Mayer and Jewel. Just a stellar cast of session musicians and producers that are going to really put out, I think, a great, solid project. All of the songs on that project have been curated by several prominent songwriters, including Alice Paul and Robbie Hecht, a few others. So getting the songs vetted and making sure lyrically and musically they are as in as good a shape as possible, and then recording them. So I'm so excited to be releasing that next year and seeing what impact it may have in the industry.
Well, that's fantastic, and make sure that you take some time out and come back through and chop it up with us again, so we can kind of keep up with what you got going on and hear all the new stuff.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity and the support.
Yes. So listen, we down to the last minute or so of the show, so quickly tell everybody where they can go get your music.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere where you can download or stream digital music, you can find me. My name is James Lee Baker. You can also go to my website, which is jamesleebaker.com. And my Instagram and Facebook username is, you guessed it, James Lee Baker. So just search for my name. I think you'll find what you're looking for. And I think I'm on Twitter, but I'm not very active on that. So, that's pretty much where you can find my stuff.
All right, man, and everybody, man, this is James Lee Baker, man. We appreciate you for coming through, Mr. Baker, and hopefully you come through again, especially when you get your new stuff. But listen, we're going to take our listeners home with you, James Lee. Here's a Cowtown Blues, everybody. And you can hear the show in its entirety worldwide in a few seconds. But put you on this one as you're riding, or you're sitting at home, or you're talking to your friend, whatever you're doing. Listen to this.
Oh, yeah.
I was raised in a cow town. The Bible Belt had me tied down. I told myself I would leave one day, but then she came along and here I stayed. The stockyard breeze is rolling in. That's the smell of money in the wind. There's hailstorms and tumbleweeds. No wonder there ain't no trees. Out at the Cadillac ranch, you can paint a caddy with a spray can. It sure ain't the promised land. They bury perfectly good cars in the sand. It's their way to about the Cowtown Blues, the Cowtown Blues. I met her at the public pool in the summer after high school. We didn't make any college plans, too busy with these idle hands. She was the preacher's youngest kid, face and a body made for sin, far from the deep blue sea. Just her, the devil,